What up, 12s? Adam here, doing a solo vid today. Both Clinton and Brandon had some family obligations, so you're stuck with me. Tough break, but we're here anyways. So let's dive right into it. Biggest news of the day has to be Pete Carroll's updates regarding KW9 and a groin injury, which he seems concerned about, but also not that concerned about. I'm not really sure what to make of it, but sounds like a groin issue that had been kind of creeping up on him coming into camp. And they're playing it very cautious, like they are with a bunch of the other guys that they're bringing back from PUP and that sort of thing. But you take that news and then you combine it with the news that second round pick Zach Charbonnet is also injured. Apparently, he's having some issue with his shoulder. Pete was rather cagey about it, but with that said, he also admitted that he doesn't really exactly know that much about it. But maybe not something that he injured on a particular play or anything like that, but something that's been cumulative and kind of bugging him. So they'll know more tomorrow with some further tests and things like that. So we'll see what happens there. But the running back injury bug seems to be back early and with a vengeance. Now, let's hope all this buffs out before the season gets going. Sounds like Pete's optimistic about Kenneth Walker for sure. We'll see what further news comes of Charbonnet. Now, with that said, a lot of reports about Kenny McIntosh, the 7th round pick out of Georgia, really showing out here through camp. Now, not a lot you can see if you're not at camp and all that stuff, but there are a couple videos online of maybe 2-3 plays of Kenny McIntosh out there running the rock. And while they're not in pads, they're not tackling, they're not doing any of that stuff, he actually does look way quicker than that 4.5 40 that he was reportedly running back at the combine and that sort of thing. Just really shifty, good vision. We'll see what that does or how he does and how that translates later on here through the preseason. But great news when you hear that potentially your first two backs on the depth chart are suffering early camp injuries. So an easy kid to root for. I don't know if you guys remember the draft call, but it was the greatest one of this offseason for the Seahawks, and really rooting for Kenny McIntosh. Also heard DJ Dallas is looking good, a little bigger, coming in at 230, according to Pete Carroll. And he really likes that bruising style out of DJ and talked up his third down ability and things of that nature. So DJ Dallas not going anywhere either. And sounds like, we could use all four of those dudes this season already. So good news to hear that a couple of the guys doing good, a couple of the other guys nicked up. So that's where that stands. A couple other things that Pete talked about in his press conference. Ben Burr-Kirven back with the team, the linebacker. He had suffered some, I believe it was a neck injury or something along those lines that also entailed a little bit of nerve damage and things like that. And even when you say a little bit of nerve damage, I mean, geez Louise, a little bit's a big deal, but has fought his butt off and has made it back to the practice field, re-signed with the Seahawks. And Pete says they're trying to take it easy with the guy, but he's just flying around doing his thing. A special teams missile, one of UW's finest. We're excited to have him back on the roster, so that was pretty cool. In other injury news and guys coming back, Pete Carroll said that Tariq Woolen looking real good, running full throttle, making cuts, changing direction, and should be ready to go and back out on the field very soon, which is great because we want to see him out there with all these other cornerbacks that are on this depth chart. And Pete really elaborated on the depth of the cornerback position throughout his presser. And one of the cool things that he was talking about was Trey Brown really showing out today and having a couple great plays. He mentioned a play on a post route, knocking a ball away from DK in the end zone, in which, as Pete described it, Geno threw perfectly, and he was still able to get up and knock it down. So great news to hear that Trey Brown is looking good, coming back from all those injuries that he has suffered through, and really rooting for that guy. So excited to hear that. Also, a little news on Devon Witherspoon with him being back and having signed his rookie deal and all that. And Pete Carroll saying that they're taking a look at him everywhere and really giving him a lot of work in the nickel as well as outside. And it sounds like that might be a product of just how well Mike Jack has been playing on the outside and trying to look at different combinations of how you can get different dudes on the field at the same time with all that talent. Another interesting thing was that he talked a little bit about Kobe Bryant moving around a bit and also playing some safety, which that may make some sense at free safety, although seems a bit undersized for it, but maybe he could make a go of it there as well. So a lot of interesting news coming out of the cornerback position, and we'll see what transpires from that later on here through camp. The other position group that Pete talked a bit about was Evan Brown versus Olu Oluwatimi. One of the camp battles that maybe I'm most invested in Brandon as well. We love offensive line play, and especially the center position. And I don't know if you guys listened to Evan Brown's interview with, I believe it was Seattle Sports 710. And they just were talking to him in just a humble, down-to-earth dude, smart guy. You can tell that right out of the gate, just with the way he speaks and all that, unlike me. And I'm really rooting for the guy, even though I'm still rooting for Olu too. I mean, another cool story, a kid that really has worked hard to get to where he's at. It sounds like Pete isn't anywhere near making a decision on that one. He's going to need to see a lot more. But at the end of the day, it sounds like we have two dudes that can probably get it done. So that's pretty exciting. So those are a few of the things that stood out to me after day 4 of Seahawks Training Camp. I'd love to hear what you guys are interested in or any other topics you'd like to hear us cover. And I know it's annoying, but if you could please like, subscribe, all that stuff, that'd be cool. Because, the algorithm's been kicking our butt a little bit lately. And appreciate you guys a ton. And with that, there's only one thing left to say. Go Hawks.